How's it going, guys? Alex here. Welcome back to another Dokkan Battle video, and today we're going to be taking on the World Tournament and going over whether or not you should be going for the Agility Vegito. If you haven't seen it already, I actually made an SSR analysis video on all the base Vegito, so go ahead and check that out if you want a bit more of an in-depth explanation of the card, obviously, and how good he is. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a great day as always, and if you do enjoy today's video, consider leaving a like and subscribing if you are new. Now, I think the biggest issue with the World Tournament rewards is that the benchmarks are just like so not minimal, but I'm trying to think of the best word to describe it. They're like unreachable for a lot of people, and with the game growing in terms of the player base, it just gets harder and harder with every single World Tournament to actually get into that bracket to obtain the Vegito, obviously. So I definitely think that they need to make some updates when it comes to the, overall ranking, but they legit have not touched the World Tournament in such a long time in terms of updating it. So I mean, I think it's a bit of a long shot. I think they just kind of think of the unit that they want to release and then just like, okay, this is what we're going to go with. But I definitely think that they could be doing a bit more, pardon me, in terms of like the units that they obviously... Wait a minute, let's go with this. I'm trying to think of the best possible thing to go with here. So yeah, I definitely think they can make a few changes when it comes to, how they organize the benchmarks. But hopefully that is something that they are going to work on in the future. I definitely think that it should maybe be raised to 25k. I think 25k is pretty reasonable, because if you take a look at the benchmarks, pardon me, for top 10k, to get into that particular category, you need at least 35,000 points, which is like pretty hard to obtain without LR Broly, without LR Margin Vegeta, without a consistent way of getting points. And it's a shame because, I mean, even then, I think one of the biggest things that kind of puts people off is the fact that, like, you can obtain these units later on through summons, and that is definitely one of the things that annoy me the most, because I put so much time into grinding World Tournaments, like, especially in some of the previous ones. I actually made it to the top 100 once, and to see, I do think that giving them away in terms, like, from summoning tickets isn't necessarily a bad idea, but it kind of takes the value away from the unit. So I kind of wish you had to do something apart from the World Tournament to obtain those tickets. I don't know, just something like that you had to do to obtain those units, because the World Tournament units were special, but when you have a system in place that just allows you to summon for them a few months later, then it's just like, okay, what's the point? But one over, kind of. And now let's talk about the Agility Vegito. And like I said, if you want a bit more of an in-depth explanation as to how good he is, go ahead and check out that video. I believe it's called SSR Analysis, which Vegito is the best. So go ahead and check that out. But Vegito is honestly a very interesting unit. He definitely did have a lot of potential, because, I mean, it's Vegito, right? And in comparison to the other ones that are currently out, he honestly is different in some senses. He is similar to the Agility Vegito because he can, tank hits. Well, I should specify the Agility Super Vegito because he can tank hits, but it's just so specific. You have to put him in the first slot for him to actually be able to tank. And the issue with that is, especially when it comes to an Agility type team, is that you already have a tank like Super Vegito. You have Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. So for Bandai to make Vegito an Agility type for one, it's just such a bad thing. He could have been Tech, and actually Tech would have been a bad choice. STR, we already have we actually have an Agility Vegito, we have a Tech Vegito, we have an Int Vegito. STR Physical would have been a pretty good choice. I mean, we do have the new Physical Super Vegito now, and you have Vegito Blue as well, but it would have been cool to have Super Vegito, Vegito Blue, and obviously the new Vegito from the World Tournament in there as well, in that particular group type. Or wow, that was actually pretty fast. Okay then, so something decided to pop up, so I apologize for that cut off. But like I was saying, none of the types necessarily need a tank, but it's just like, if you're going to make him a tank, at the very least, put him in a group that somewhat needs him. Because, again, I'm talking from a whale standpoint. When it comes to, like, teams like mine, and obviously other players like Dino, Nano and such, we are obviously going to have the best units in the game. So when we see something like that, it just doesn't exactly, motivate us to go for it. And obviously, the free-to-play players are going to want to go for a unit like that, but the issue is the whales are going to go harder. Granted, there are a lot of players that are whales that aren't going to go for it because they don't necessarily see the need in the unit, and they just don't see the point in it because they can just summon for him a few months later, of course. And they already have better options. It's like, okay, I suppose I will go for him for collection purposes, but outside of that, I'll have no real use for him. But of course, that just depends on the player. There are some whales that obviously will go for the unit. Like I said, for collection purposes, they may not necessarily want to use them just for collection purposes. And again, I said this like 10 times now. It's just for collection purposes, and it's a shame because, you know, World Tournament units are units that should be, you know, they are obviously hard to obtain for some people, but at the same time, they should be extremely rewarding and they should be exclusive. And now that there isn't that much exclusivity in the game, it's a bit annoying, I guess. But I kind of went off track again somehow. Agility Vegito, should you go for him? Honestly, if your agility type team is lacking Super Vegito or Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, I definitely say yes. Because when it comes to the agility type team, it doesn't necessarily have the greatest amount of damage output, especially if you don't have certain units. If you don't have Super Vegito, you're missing out on a lot of damage output because you don't have the counters. And if you don't have Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, you are easily missing out on one of the hardest hitters in the game, especially for the agility type group. Again, I'm talking about super agility. If you have LR Goten and Trunks, that's a completely different story. But there are certain situations where having that additional tank could definitely help. Obviously, Vegito isn't going to do much in terms of damage, but if you're missing a unit like Super Vegito that is going to allow you to get past stages faster, having a tank will allow you to make the event slightly easier. Because if you don't have someone in there that is capable of taking hits and the majority of your team is weak, then it's just like, okay, I'm going to get body. Because if you're like dealing like 50k damage with every single unit that you have, and you're taking like 100k damage every turn, you can see where issues will start to arise. And of course, if you don't have okay, my hoodie is kind of fallen off. If you don't have Super Vegito or the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, you do have the Agility Great Saiyaman, which you can get from the barbershop. Of course, once you awaken him, he is a 70% lead, so he has the leader skill that is equivalent to Super Vegito. Granted, he doesn't do it as much as Super Vegito, but he is still there, and of course, you should have absolutely no issues finding a Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta friend. Super Vegito may be a bit hard, but the point is, you should be able to find a lead for your Agility type team. That's not the issue, it's just having your own lead. And wow, everyone's getting out the 100% villain leads today. Let's go with the 100% Broly. But yeah, back to Vegito, or, you know, just the whole agility type group talk. Having that additional tank in your team could potentially help. I think my biggest issue with him by far is that he does have that restriction on his passive. But again, it depends like on a team that you are using. If you don't have like too many great options for your agility type team, he is going to be a good option. But outside of that, not so much. And again, like the biggest letdown about his card by far is the fact that you have to put him in first slot for him to work properly. Otherwise, he's just not going to be able to tank because, of course, his passive activates when you put him in the first slot. But again, the issue with that is, what if none of the attacks are situated in the first slot? So there are definitely a few things to think about when going for him. Ultimately, should you go for him? Yes and no. And I think that's pretty much going to be the answer for the majority of you guys. If you have a pretty solid agility type team, I don't think you should go for him. But if you don't have a solid agility type team, definitely do go for him. And if you want him for collection purposes, obviously do go for him. But we are moving on to the last round, of course. And we are going to end it there. But I hope you guys have been enjoying the video so far. I didn't make a video on the World Tournament last time, but I'm definitely going to go for the orbs this time round. And just go from there. And I am absolutely loving this hero, or villain team, I should say. But like, for real, when are we going to get a new hero and a villain lead? Definitely curious to see when that happens. And let's just go with the Broly again. I like how everyone is maxing their Merging Marsus. Loki, wish I didn't max my Goku Black, but it's fine. It's fine. At least he's part of the Ningen squad. And he's running LR Piccolo lead, surprisingly. I'm actually curious how many points I'm getting by using this team. Obviously, you get more points depending on your team cost. I could potentially run like almost a full legendary rare team, but I don't know how well that would work. And you can see the issue margin for Vegeta here. Yep. That's not going to work. Wow. I mean, it's not that bad. Getting his 18 key isn't that much of an issue, because of course his 12 key super attack is, you know, hits harder anyway. But when it comes to the World Tournament, it's just like, okay, that could potentially be a problem if I don't have Broly. But thankfully I do have him, so I can't exactly complain too much. And I just realised I'm using my mic. Hopefully you guys can hear that. And it... Wow. Yeah, just wow. It actually hits pretty damn hard. And then you have Dino with his 100% LR margin Vegeta, of course. Let's see. Let's finish things. Are you serious? Are we not going to be able to finish things off here? I mean, that is a super attack with Margin Vegeta, with Major Marsu, but I don't know how many potential system buffs this Broly has. So if he doesn't have any additionals, yeah, never mind. And that's the insane thing about Broly. If you give him additional super attacks, he can potentially get, if you give him additional super attack, he can potentially get triple super attacks, which is absolutely insane. That moment when your face cam just decides to Hakai itself. But yeah, like I was saying, I don't know what part I cut off on. I hope you guys did enjoy the video as always. And if you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you all in the next one.